I've been practicing with steel lately. Probably not as much as I want to, but so far it's been going pretty good. I got down to these are my last two that I was working on, and I'm going to go ahead and start a brand new one on video today, but just to give you an idea of what the flakes look like. And I messed up here on this barb, so I quit. Almost finished. I was trying to reduce the mass on that one and blew off the barb. This is heat treated, but it's pretty miserable to knap, although it does vary in grade. Some of this stuff is very nice, and this is some of the best chert that I have, also heat treated, and this is all steel. I did abrade the edges because I was going to do another pass on this side, but I decided to wait because this is extremely nice material. I don't want to break it by accident, so I'll wait until I'm a little bit better at using the steel. Okay, so let me just show you the tools here. Start out with the largest one. This is just a refurbished 3.5 pound sledge for large spalls. I cut the handle. I cut about 2 inches off the handle, and I put a wedge in here because it was loose. But it's just an old sledge. I got a ball peen hammer, another old one. Cut the handle off here too, probably about 3 inches or so. It still looks like it's in pretty good shape. I've used this quite a bit already for small spalls and for field testing. I take this one out to the field with me. It's compact enough. I could take it anywhere. Let's see. I mean, I could take a hammer of any size anywhere, but this fits easily in a pocket if I wanted to. 7.5 inches long. Okay. This is my new steel Indirect percussion flaker. Just a piece of Yopon holly, no wrapping or anything, and I'm using a technique that I saw my friend Jason Newman use. He uses copper, a copper rod, a long copper rod inside of a piece of wood, and you strike the metal on this. You don't strike the wood on this. Okay, but my tips, I tend to chamfer them. They get rounded, and when they do get rounded, I take my file and kind of chamfer them again. I like to have about it's not quite a 45-degree angle, but I like to chamfer it around. I don't like it completely round because sometimes the square edge allows me to get in. I can't say square, but that little angle there allows me to position the flaker to get a little bit more precise if I wanted to hit something smaller. But usually I just rest this on the platform, this area here, and I like to turn it as it gets dimpled and messed up. I'll turn the flaker, so it's important to me that it's straight so that I can turn it. And this is a nail or a spike. I don't have my tape measure, or do I? Let's see. No, but it's about 1/4 inch. I don't have any measurements. I'll do those later. Okay, next is my new billet, steel billet. It's just a piece of, I guess that's steel pipe, black pipe. 3/4 inch, I believe. It's 3 inches between the threads. I think it's a 3/4 inch pipe. Could be 1 inch. I mean, it's measuring 1 inch, but you know how that goes. I'm not an expert on pipe sizes. I mean, I should know this. it's 1 inch to the outside, so maybe it's a 1 inch. It probably has it stamped on here somewhere. Anyway, I just that's 3/4. I just screwed a cap onto it, and it's just hand tight. It does come loose, so I got to check it. I probably need to put some Loctite on here to keep this from coming loose. And I ground down these I don't know what these ridges, I guess, because they were up here. They were standing off from the cap up here, so I just ground them down to give me a good area to strike with all the way around. I strike with this area here. I don't strike with this or the sides on the stone. It's only on this part, and either I strike this way or this way, that way or that way. It's working pretty good. Okay, next, this is an old flaker. This is a pick, and it's just ground down to a flat tip, extremely high strength steel, and ultra high weight molecular plastic. Eight and a half inches. Well, let's see, 9 1/4 for the plastic. But yeah, I'll just do all the measurements later and put them in the description. Next, I've got some flakers. These are nails. These are box nails. I just drill a hole, pre-drill, and then hammer them in. This one I just cut off and slightly ground it down on my belt sander, just to get rid of the flat surface. But I just take a pair of wire cutters and crimp them a little bit, because my wire cutters are too small to snap them off in one go, so I just crimp them and then break them off to the height that I want. And these again are Yopon holly. It's a nice dense light colored wood. There's plenty of it here. It's thrown away. It's considered a landscaping type of tree or shrub, and they just throw it away when it dries out, which is pretty common here. This is another box nail. I don't know what size this is, but it's pretty straightforward. And these are already dry. These are pre-seasoned, and these are finished nails. Okay, I do have some old steel tools that I've used in other videos. These picks, the tips are cut off because they're curved. You know, these are picks for removing O-rings and other things like that. And I just shaped the ends. Some are flat, some are pointy. This is an old Walmart ice pick. I don't think they even sell these anymore. And they usually about twice this long, but I cut them in half and then grind down the end flat. Okay, but this is extremely strong steel for notching. It's kind of a cheat on that. And this is just a leather pad folded over and sewn. This was gifted to me from a friend of mine. I've already put a lot of wear and tear on this one. I usually use a roll, but this has been working out pretty good. It's got a little bit of flexibility to it, not much at all, which is good. I don't really want flexibility. I need to make a domed pad for this, for my knapping, but so far this has been working all right. Okay, let's get into the knapping here. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to knap. Let's see. I'll start doing some rock challenges. I'll start doing some rock challenges here soon with the steel. Some of this I don't want to knap. This is pretty cruddy. Let's see. This is heat treated chert. Probably should call it an agate. Yeah, this is really nice stuff. Now, knapping with steel it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to come up with some words. Like the steel billet, it's highly aggressive. But it's not any more aggressive than a hard hammerstone. Other than it won't break. You can really swing it hard and it will not crumble or break or anything. That's the advantage of these metal tools. Your tools are not going to break. Now, I hit that really hard to get rid of that. There was some seams in there, or a bulb of percussion. Now, the steel give you a lot of incipient. The steel give you a lot of incipient cracks. Yeah, it can, yes. And I will be using it on glass here soon. Let's see if I can get this to stay focused. The glass I'll be using will be bottle glass and TV glass, TV screen glass. And I do have some obsidian slabs. I got a lot of stuff in the rock challenges. 4 of the rock challenges that I've been accumulating over the years. I may be doing rock challenges with the abo tools as well, but it's pretty miserable doing a challenge with abo tools. Oh yeah, this is an artificial abrader. Originally, you know, like 1/5 or 1/4 of a grinding wheel for a bench grinder. They can take on pretty odd shapes. So yeah, nothing natural in this toolkit except for the handles. And this platform is above center line. If I hit this one, which I am going to hit that one. Above center line, trying to get rid of that turtleback. Pretty good bulb of percussion, but it's not too bad. I'm going to switch here to indirect percussion pretty soon. Again, I'm going to strike somewhere along here, and it's all above center line. It felt like it did something, but I guess not. So yes, boys and girls, you can hit above center line and remove a turtleback. I suppose if you've been doing it long enough. With steel. Okay, yeah, it's getting thin enough so I can go to indirect percussion. I use the same billet to strike the indirect percussion tool. It's a little tricky. I need to get a different mallet, but for now I suppose I could strike this with some plastic, but this is extremely aggressive, and I kind of gotten used to it already, because I was working with some very tough stone, and you kind of do need an aggressive combination when working with very tough stone. We'll see how it goes. So it's kind of a challenge to make sure I hit directly on it, and the flakes are shorter than I'm used to. On average, with steel as compared to a softer material. And again, this is a nail, so it's a variety of mild steel. It's not hardened, and this will bend if I hit it hard enough. I just bend it back into shape. Yeah, it's a good idea to abrade a lot with steel, especially on some of the poor materials that they will crumble. Even though they might be tough stone, they'll crumble and the flakes won't travel. You need to really abrade a lot to get that platform very strong, so you can force those flakes to travel. Now those were I'm just trying to get rid of some of that edge, some of that mass off the edge, and maybe send in some flakes, but steel does cause a lot of shattering sometimes. But you get used to it. You can slow down the strikes, and it won't cause too much of an issue as far as creating long flakes. You can create some long flakes with a slower strike with steel. I don't have much width on this one, so I'm striking above center line in many cases, just so I can keep some of that width, even though it's not the most ideal striking strategy. It still allows me to take some good mass off the edge there, so I can get rid of that weird edge here. There's kind of too much of a concavity in there, so I don't know. I need to focus on what I'm going to do about that. Maybe I'll take some mass off of here, starting from the tip. Now I'm striking a little bit less hard than I would with aluminum, but not much. I'm not really supporting it very much. I try to use the mass of the piece against itself. However, with slower strikes, you need more support. You need to hold it more firmly. And with steel, it tends to respond well to the slower strikes. So you need to hold on to the workpiece, because you're going to feel a jolt. It doesn't seem like a softer or a slower strike is going to jolt you more, but it does. With a higher speed strike, it removes the flake so fast that you don't feel the recoil, or you don't feel it as much as you do with a slower strike. And the way I like to describe it is you're removing the flake before it knows what's happening with a high speed strike. You remove the flake before the stone knows what's happening, so you don't feel much of a recoil. I switch from working on the tip to working on the base, or working on the base. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to hit there, so I'm going to wait. The base is always a little bit easier for me to decide what to do. Now see, with a softer material, that probably would have gone further. With the harder material, it doesn't really stay in contact with the platform as long as a softer material. It bounces. Steel bounces off of the edge. Not as much as brass. Brass is just terrible for the bounce. And it doesn't, see, that didn't carry very far. Even though this is excellent material, and you can run very long flakes with a softer material, it's still I think a viable material for flint knapping if you are on a budget or dealing with a lot of tough stone. You don't want to chew through all your good materials or your good tools. You can practice with steel and then get to appreciate your higher quality tools after working with this. This is not an easy tool set to work with, even though it can power through a lot of the notching tasks that you might have and that sort of thing. You have to really make a mental adjustment for the shortness of the flakes. Yeah, even with high grade material, I'm not getting long flakes. That's probably what do you call it? That's probably a deal breaker for a lot of nappers. Anything that does not produce a long flake, they just won't deal with it. But as long as you're working with fairly narrow points, it's not an issue, I don't think. If you're doing this to make money and your clients want wide, thin points, this is not a good tool set. I would not recommend it. But for practice or for something different, or to preserve your best tool set, you can break out some of the tools for occasional knapping. Maybe you want to rough it out with steel, and then once you got a good rough preform, you can switch over. Reduces the wear and tear on your good tools. Okay, I think I said that already. Now, one good thing about steel is you can pop off some of those step fractures by sitting the steel tool on the step and then striking. Steel is excellent for that. It works much better than copper or aluminum for that particular type of strike. If you're getting a lot of steps, as long as you don't overdo it and cause that step to reverse hinge, you'll be in pretty good shape. Now there's a pocket of concrete there. I'm going to see if I can run a flake through that. That's just a surface flake. It wasn't too good. Oh, I got lucky with that one. You can see there is a quartz pocket. But that's thin enough, I think, to be good on that side. I'll call it good on that side. I don't have to run too many more flakes in that area. You know, I probably won't run any flakes over the surface of that. Maybe one to get rid of this. Let's see if I can hit that on the side here. I cleared away a little bit of it. Hopefully that won't give me trouble later. Okay, I'll pause it here and then continue with a pressure flaker.